I am Nikolai Klozhnikov, and I come here as an ambassador from the revolution to free you from your chains and tell you the true evils of SpongeBob. Every millennial who grew up watching SpongeBob SquarePants has come to the same horrifying conclusion: you have turned into Squidward. No matter how buoyant, how cheerful, how optimistic you were as a child, there comes a point where you begin to identify with Squidward more than any other character in the show. You could explain this phenomenon with the disillusionment, the cynicism of growing up, or the burdens of being a teenager, or a post-John Hughes society. There is, however, an even simpler answer. SpongeBob is an allegory for a great hero, Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. The show revolves around SpongeBob, the hard-working, pig, capitalist proletariat accepting a low-level Freicook job and enduring under Mr. Krabs' exploitation with a grin on his face. Just look at him. The face of the capitalist slave.
You gotta be kidding me.
Speaking of living in a bubble, Sandy is not exempt from this analysis. Sandy is quite literally shielded from the rest of the world. She represents the intellectual elite that do not comply to our revolution, using her privilege of higher education to jeopardize working class jobs and further the industrial revolution, the evils of the industrial revolution. She endeavors into space, mirror the Cold War era, space race, capitalism versus communism. Her voyage ends on the moon, just like the US did. On top of her scientific record, Sandy is independent and self-sufficient, the two greatest evils on this planet. You must be dependent, exemplifying capitalist ideals of individualism. The individual is evil. If Sandy is the intellectual elite, then Patrick Star is the opposite. Patrick represents the bourgeois caricature of the working class that capitalists want you to buy into. He is ignorant, undereducated, lazy, perfect for our revolution. He lives under a rock, likely because he can't afford anything else, although he doesn't seem to mind. Patrick appears to deserve his poverty because he does nothing but sleep. But remember, you should be getting paid to sleep. Yet he also seems at peace with this lot, as he should be. This idea of happy, unproductive bums simultaneously vilifies and justifies the proletariat. Filthy proletariat. See, they're poor because they just don't want to work hard enough. In fact, they like being poor. Patrick Star is arguably the most offensive cartoon depictions of this generation and should be wiped and burned from the history books. SpongeBob, on the other hand, represents the ideal proletariat. SpongeBob, hard-working, humble, and endlessly optimistic. The evil creature. He's a lot like us before we realize the inherent evils of a capitalist society. Day in, day out, SpongeBob gleefully works at a minimum wage job, flipping burgers with no hope of promotion. He's a cog in Mr. Krabs' greasy machine, but he doesn't even realize it. He just continues to skip to work to every day, chanting, "I'm ready." Ready for what, SpongeBob? Your exploitation? Ready for the bourgeoisie Kool-Aid he's been absorbing through his poriferious sponge body? Back finally to Squidward. Squidward isn't like SpongeBob or Patrick. He isn't satisfied with his low-level employment. What Squidward seeks is an artistic satisfaction and world-renowned. He covets the success of his employer without achieving the work ethic necessary for someone of his Zavuna stacked against him at every turn. He resigns himself bitterly to the clutches of capitalism. If Squidward were less jaded, he could be the catalyst for a full-scale class warfare, perhaps ending in a communist utopia. Unfortunately, Squidward's defeatist personality and egoism prevents him from implementing social change. Their efforts were to no avail. Millions of millennials are now finding themselves disillusioned and realizing all along that Squidward was the reasonable one. He had the right to protest Mr. Krabs' vile working conditions, and his sarcasm was merely a coping mechanism for the injustices placed up against him and all of the proletariat. Squidward is the dissatisfied proletariat yearning for Karl Marx's beard, and also identify with him more than ever. The difference is we have the energy and collective power to succeed where he could not. Together we could rise up and defeat the disgusting, evil bourgeoisie and send them to the gulags, establishing an egalitarian society that does not prey upon the lower classes. In the words of SpongeBob, are you ready? Are you? Long live Karl Marx! Well, anyway, I have been Nikolai Klashnikov, and this has been a message from the revolution.